Welcome to the Ice Talks, where we implement change every day. Hey, Harold S. Reed Jr. here, and I'm also known as hrjr, your motivational coach. If you don't know what motivation means, motive plus action equals results, and results equals success. It's 3 a.m., actually 3:15 a.m. on a Wednesday morning, and I'm sitting in a lawn chair in a line about 200 feet away from the door of the MVC. Most other states call it the DMV, or Department of Motor Vehicles. But I guess in Jersey they wanted to disassociate the agency from the stigma attached to the letters DMV. So they renamed it the New Jersey Motor Vehicle Commission, hence MVC. Now by now you're probably thinking, wait, what are you doing at the DMV or MVC at 3 in the morning? Well, I'm glad you asked. First, let me say that no, they're not selling the latest Jordans or the newest iPhone. This is the second day after reopening due to the COVID-19 crisis. It is also my third day this week in this parking lot. See, I forgot that they were closed on Monday following and in observance of Independence Day. As for Tuesday and today, I'm going to get to that in just a second. So bear with me as I give you a little background to better explain the overall point here. Now, I recently came into possession of a car a couple months ago, and I've had to transfer the ownership of the title into my name. Now, this would be a simple enough task under normal circumstances, but we're not living in a time of normal circumstances. As previously stated, the MVC or DMV has been closed for several months because of COVID-19. So I wound up here on Monday as a result of what we in the military call a brain fart. You see, I was so eager to get this stuff done that I forgot that the website said the reopening was on July 7th, Tuesday, and quickly got reminded when I showed up at 5:30 a.m. and saw the sign on the door with the actual opening date. Now, was I pissed? Yeah, a little, but not very much. See, after all, who was there to be pissed at? Really, no one but myself. So a couple hours later, I did a 14 to 15 minute Facebook Live video, my Monday morning motivation video, if you will, about being patient in the face of circumstances beyond our control. And I got to tell you the truth, pat myself on the back, but I'm not going to break my arm doing so. It was actually one of my best works, considering I was speaking off the cuff or freestyling like I normally do, or as the young, So I remember having said several times throughout that live, sometimes you just have to ask yourself, what can you do? What you going to do? What are you going to do? Sometimes you just have to ride the wave and work it out as best you can as you go along. So fast forward to Tuesday morning, opening day. And once again, 5:30, I'm pulling into the parking lot of the DMV or the MVC. However, this time, there was already like about 50, 60 some odd people already lined up. So, hey, I broke out my lawn chair and claimed my own spot in line. 4.5 hours later, I finally got inside, and I was out in less than 10 minutes, and I accomplished absolutely nothing. As it turned out, one of the documents that I needed to complete my transaction, transfer the title, wasn't good enough. They required the original. So this time, I was totally pissed off, but not at myself. I was pissed at the dingbat receptionist and her even more dingbattier superior or supervisor or whatever, neither of whom cared about the 4.5 hours I had spent standing outside. Oh yeah, standing and sitting, because I sat in my chair for most of that time. But like about, from 7:45 till I got inside at 10, I was on my feet. But they didn't care about none of that. So now I'll finally get to the point, and I thank you for bearing with me. You see, it's one thing to tell people or advise people on what they should do. That's talking the talk. It's an entirely different thing to have to follow your own advice. That's walking the talk. As pissed as I was, I still had an objective to achieve. So after making a couple phone calls and taking a very, very, very long mind-cooling drive, I went to where I needed to go to receive the original document I needed. I went home after that, ate something, relaxed, and went to, I'm not exaggerating, I went to bed around 6 o'clock, 6 p.m., and woke up a little after 2 a.m. this morning. And here I am, patiently waiting to handle my business. There are times in our lives when we believe we have all the answers that someone else needs. But what happens when we have to apply those same answers to our own lives? It's always easy to tell someone else what they should do when you don't have to live with the consequences of whatever it is that they do. This is something which I believe people need to become more mindful. To say the situation with the MVC has tested my patience is a total understatement. But I found myself faced with a choice: find solutions or be pissed, and then still have to find solutions. Of the two options, I chose the former, to just find solutions, which I did. Made my phone call, took my drive, went to see the person I had to see, got my document. You see, the latter option would have gotten me nowhere. It would have gotten me nowhere faster and worse. Worse off, I would have been a hypocrite in contradicting my previous words in that Facebook Live video about being patient. So my advice to you now is to be mindful of the advice you may give to other people, because you never know when you may find yourself having to follow it yourself. It's very easy to say, practice what you preach. But unfortunately, people tend to do a hell of a lot more preaching than practicing. Talking the talk is the preaching. Walking the talk is the actual practice of what you're preaching. And contrary to popular belief, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes improvement. The more you practice, the better you become. And because there will always come times that will try your patience, your willpower, and even your spirit, be mindful of what you would advise someone else to do. If you would be offering them your advice with the best intentions, shouldn't that advice be equally as good for you should you find yourself in similar circumstances? Think about that. See, we go through life and we have friends, and our friends tell us their problems, and we tell our friends what we think they should do, and we can walk away from it. Because, like I said, we don't have to live with the consequences. How many times have you heard about or even been involved in an encounter with a friend where, male or female, where the person says, my boyfriend or my girlfriend is acting such and such a way, and you tell them, oh, you need to drop them, you need to quit them, you need to get that divorce, you need to go on about your business, you need to live your life, live your best life. You don't need them for that. You don't need all that aggravation in your life. You could do well, you could do bad by yourself, right? And the next thing you know, that person follows your advice, winds up miserable, and they want to blame you, and you likely not going to take accountability for what they did, because you don't have to live with the consequences of what they did, even though you gave them the advice, right? So what I'm saying to you here in walking the talk, be mindful of the advice that you give to people, because you never know when you might have to follow that advice yourself. Let me tell you something. When I was on that long mind-cooling drive, that's the best way I could describe it. I had to drive. Now, you may be listening to different parts of the country or even different parts of the world. So let me just say the drive I had to take was about half hour, 45 minutes to get from where I was at the MVC, the DMV, whatever you want to call it, to the attorney's office where I had to go to get the document I needed. So like I said, they had about 45 minute drive. 34. Yeah, it took me a while. Less than an hour, more than a half hour. Right? Now, during that drive, I was livid. Because I felt like I wasted all that time out there. But I kept, there's you got the angel and the devil on your shoulder, and they both look like you, so it's the good and evil side of yourself. And the evil side of myself was just like, man, F that, be pissed, be mad, just mother F everybody, right? But then that good side, that angel, if you will, was saying, hey man, you just told people yesterday that you gotta be patient. Some things are beyond your control. So now what are you going to do? You going to post something on Facebook talking about how mad you are and how you didn't get your situation handled, and you just going to be mad, you're going to be angry? That's going to make you a hypocrite. Now, for those of you who don't know me well, let me tell you something about myself. The one thing I refuse, you can call me a lot of things, even to my face, but the one thing that will probably have us having to put our hands up is if you call me a hypocrite. I cannot let my words not match my actions. And I'm having this conversation with myself, inside myself, as I'm on this drive to go to this man's office and get the document that I needed. And I came out with what I'm sharing with you now. I had to, that was part of my cooling off process. I had to be like, yeah, I just got through telling all my followers on Facebook, you got to be patient when things are outside of your control. This situation was outside of my control. So I wound up asking myself that question. So what you going to do? I got to find the solutions. I was already on the path to finding the solutions. I was going to get the paperwork that I needed. And I got it, and I'll handle my business and get that taken care of. So again, if you're going to talk the talk, I'm not going to say walk the walk, because walk the walk don't mean nothing. Walk the walk is you just walking, right? Walk the talk. Walk the talk. Back up what you're telling other people to do. Don't tell anybody to do it. Listen, I from my time in the military, from my time in law enforcement, from my time in the organizations and groups that I belong to, I've been in a variety of leadership positions. And the one thing that has been a prevalent stamp in all of those experiences is that you cannot tell someone to do something that you're not willing to do yourself. If you're going to give out advice to people, you better damn sure be ready to take that advice, because you never know when your situation may require you to follow that advice yourself. Take care. I'll talk to you on the next one. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Ice Talks, where we implement change every day.